Welcome back and welcome to a non-book related video. I put a little ask out on Twitter to see if you would be interested in my thoughts on the 9 Oscar nominated movies for tonight's Oscars. So this is a bonus video. I don't normally post on a Sunday unless it's December, of course, but I thought I would do my thoughts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the 9 movies that are nominated for Best Picture tonight at the Oscars, and then eventually at the end tell you my prediction, and then I'll make sure I post this in plenty of time so that you can look back and see whether I predicted right or not. Obviously, I am just a moviegoer. I am not any sort of critic or anything like that, so it's just my prediction of the way I think it will go based on previous Oscar Best Picture winners. So I got a pass with my cinema where I could see all 9 nominated movies during the past week and a half. So it started like last Friday and it goes on until today. So I still could have seen one today right before the Oscars. Although if I'd gone to see the 4 o'clock one, I wouldn't have actually seen the start of the Oscars, because here the Oscars start at 6. But hey, I had already seen some of them, so some of them were rewatches for me and some of them were first watches for me, and it was really good to rewatch some of them because some of them I really enjoyed. So let me tell you my thoughts. This is going to be spoiler free, no spoilers. My thoughts on the films. So first of all, there were 2 that stood out that I really didn't enjoy, and those 2 were Phantom Thread and Dunkirk. And I saw Phantom Thread and I was seeing it for the first time. I saw most of these films on my own, apart from 2, which I'll tell you about. But yeah, I saw it on my own. I sat and I watched it, and Daniel Day-Lewis's character is an interesting character, and there was some moments when his eccentricities were funny, but on the whole, I just found the film just a bit too kind of slow-paced, and I was quite bored watching it. That's just my opinion, as I say. It obviously surrounds his fashion house and his kind of muse, if you like, and I don't know, I expected more from it. I liked the trailers, and this was one of those films I was kind of maybe going to see, and then when I knew it was going to be on this Movie Pass, I waited to watch my Movie Pass version of it, because these ones only have 1 trailer before them, which is quite cool, 1 preview. But yeah, wasn't so keen on that one. And then the second one that I didn't really like was Dunkirk. And I went to see this with my husband, who was seeing it for the second time, and we'd also seen Darkest Hour, and we said, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you could watch Darkest Hour and Dunkirk back to back, because Darkest Hour covers a little bit of Dunkirk, but then obviously Dunkirk covers it in the whole detail. Now, this film I just didn't like for kind of personal reasons. I thought it was incredibly well done. It follows 3 different people, and it follows one of them a week before the actual like Dunkirk kind of landings type thing, one of them a day before, and one of them an hour before. And I thought that was a really, really good way of structuring it, and then you know that eventually it's all gonna kind of tie together. The way they filmed it as well, you get a lot of like from perspective filming. So the reason that I didn't really enjoy it was because I just found it really too intense, and that's just a completely personal thing. I still think it's a really good film, but yeah, it was just a little bit too intense for me. I found myself feeling quite like anxious and panicky a lot of the time. Like I was starting to kind of almost have palpitations. It made me kind of that anxious, because there's some scenes, obviously there's a lot of water in it, and there's a lot of kind of tense scenes where you're like, oh, what's going to happen to these people, what's going to happen to these people, and so yeah, I just found it a little bit too intense for me, and just it made me more uncomfortable than I would like to be. I'm quite okay with the film making me uncomfortable, because there is another film on here that definitely did make me a bit uncomfortable, but like just the right level of uncomfortable. I think maybe I invested in Dunkirk a little bit too much. Yeah, so those are the films that personally I didn't really like. Then we've got Call Me By Your Name, which I'd say kind of comes like next on my rank kind of thing. It was again, quite slow paced, and it's quite a quiet film. I loved the setting. This is set in northern Italy, and so some of the film we have people speaking French, and some of the film we have people speaking Italian. Some of the film we have people speaking English, so we do have subtitles at some points. And it's set in one summer in northern Italy in 83, I think. 83? Yes, I want to say 83. And so you've got this kind of gorgeous northern Italian Mediterranean weather, and the kind of like the food and the activities that go with that, and people are riding bikes all the time, and it had real feelings of kind of nostalgia for me. And that's kind of the thing that I picked out that I really liked about the film. The actor who plays Elio, our main character, he's obviously nominated for Best Actor, and I can totally see why. He did a really, really good job in this film, and you kind of get his 17-year-old teen angst coming through across everything else that's going on in the film, and I think he does a really, really good job of that. And I kind of felt that for him, as well as that nostalgia of being 17 and, you know, being out with friends late at night and things like that. So yeah, I suppose I kind of almost feel a bit neutral about that film. I went in expecting to like it more than I did. I wanted to kind of come out and rave about it, and I'm wondering whether perhaps I should have read the book first, or maybe if I would enjoy the book more than the film. So I might read the book. If you have read the book and you think that I would like the book more than the film, then let me know in the comments, or, you know, you've heard people have liked the book more than the film, please let me know in the comments, and I will definitely pick it up and read it, because I've seen it a lot of places recently. And then the next 4 films after that, I really enjoyed all of them. Darkest Hour, as I say, I've seen this one twice, so this is the first one that was a rewatch for me, and I saw this one both times with my husband, so I had someone to talk to about it. And obviously we know that this has also got a Best Actor nomination, and again, it's very well deserved. Apparently he spent 2 hours, 4 hours, hours and hours every day in the makeup chair, and you can, you know, see that the makeup is incredibly well done in this one. It's also very interesting, the scenes they choose to give you and the scenes they choose not to give you. I enjoy watching Mark Kermode's reviews of the films, and he really didn't rate this film because he thinks that they kind of almost give you too much information. It's like, oh, well, you know, Churchill had Gallipoli and he had this and this didn't go well, and they're kind of overtly telling you. It's a bit like when you read a book and it kind of like tells you rather than showing you things. You know, you kind of come away feeling, you know, it could have been done in a slightly different way. But having watched it for a second time, some of the scenes that I thought were maybe a little bit too much information the first time, I kind of almost appreciated the second time. And obviously I was seeing this as a Brit but in a US screening, and it's so interesting seeing the difference between the things that I'm laughing at and the things that they're laughing at. And I think that some of the scenes that I maybe thought were a bit unnecessary the first time around, I can kind of appreciate, because the second screening I went to was a lot busier than the first screening, I think because of the Oscar hype. But yeah, I can kind of appreciate that kind of the different humour and the different background knowledge that people might have from in different countries might be the reason for those kind of extra scenes. And yeah, I thought that they did a really good job of kind of telling the story of this one, and I liked seeing the scenes of kind of wartime London as well, which was kind of an added bonus. And it's just, I didn't, you know, absolutely love this film, but I did like it, and I liked it enough that I was willing to see it a second time and possibly would watch it again on DVD. Then the next 3 are kind of films that I definitely did love. And my favourites kind of shifted a little bit. So I'd say kind of, if we're ranking going upwards, we're now at the point where I'm going to bring out The Post. The Post was another rewatch for me. And I went to see it the first time. And the first time I went to see it, I think there was me and 2 other people in the cinema. Whereas when I saw it this time, again, the screening was a lot busier. And I don't know if that helped make it. but there is a point where Meryl Streep's character in the film is being, you know, a strong, powerful woman, and in the second screening there was really good audience reaction to that. I think there was some, you know, like a little bit of kind of, you know, rumbly cheering and a little bit of applause went on, and I was like, I like that, because I kind of wanted to do that the first time around, but being one of only 3 people in the cinema, it's not going to happen. I also, in between watching The Post the first time and between watching The Post the second time, I watched LBJ with Woody Harrelson, which is the story of Lyndon B. Johnson. And there's bits in there that I kind of recognised them talking about in The Post the second time that I watched it. I know a few people have said that watching it as someone who, you know, either wasn't alive during that time or isn't American, so kind of didn't get that whole appreciation of the kind of American history side of it. They found that they needed parts of it explaining, and so I think that's why I liked it better the second time as well, because I felt I knew a bit more about it. But the thing that I love about it is, obviously, we've got Meryl Streep being this like strong, powerful woman making these amazingly important decisions, and then also we've got this kind of question of, you know, freedom of press, and, you know, do journalists have the power to cover everything, or are there government secrets which, even if journalists know about them, they shouldn't be sharing with the public? And obviously that is a very hot topic right now as well. I thought all the actors did a great job. They were all completely believable in their parts, even though there's some really well-known actors in there who we've seen in lots of other things. I thought they did a really good job. I really enjoyed the rewatch. I've seen it twice now, and I would go and see it again, definitely, because it just, you kind of come out of it, feeling this empowerment from Meryl Streep's character, and then also, that whole question of, how much should the press be covering, and how biased is the news, and which is obviously a massively hot topic right now. But it's really interesting, and if it weren't for the final 2 films that I'm going to talk about, it would probably be my favourite. So going into this, I've obviously got 2 films left. I've got Lady Bird and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I had seen Lady Bird, and Lady Bird was definitely my personal favourite film. Again, I'm not saying that that's my prediction. But then I'd also seen, I've forgotten one, I've got another one on here. I'd also seen Get Out and really enjoyed that. I'd seen Lady Bird in the cinema, and I'd seen Get Out on Blu-ray, so it was interesting rewatching Get Out in the cinema. And again, I saw it with a very full cinema, very, very full cinema, and the audience reaction kind of made the difference. So having rewatched both of them, I would still say that Lady Bird is my favourite over Get Out, but they're such different films, it's so hard to compare them. So Get Out, I think they did a really good job. There's some really comedy bits in it, and then obviously you've got this whole political side of it that joins up with the Black Lives Matter movement, and Jordan Peele is obviously made lots of firsts with his nominations for various awards for being the first black writer, director, everything that he's done, and that is fantastic. Interestingly, watching it in the cinema with people, there were parts again where I had audience reaction, and audience reaction was clapping at parts of it, which is fantastic. And going back to what I said about Dunkirk, about a film making me feel a little bit uncomfortable, this one made me feel a little bit uncomfortable because obviously it's kind of a horror film, kind of. And there was parts of it where I felt anxious and I felt uncomfortable, but at just the right level. It took me just to that right place that was kind of challenged me a little bit, but not as much as having kind of anxiety and palpitations like I was in Dunkirk. So yeah, I loved it. Again, it's another film that I would rewatch, and it was really, really great seeing it on the big screen, having just watched it on Blu-ray. So yeah, still think I prefer Lady Bird over that one. Again, it's a very different film, so it's so hard to compare. But again, I had the different experience of, I saw Lady Bird for the first time. I saw it in one of the first showings that my cinema had, and I was one of 3 people in the cinema. So I left the cinema and I said to the other couple that was seeing it in the cinema, I said, oh, what did you think? Because you're 3 people in a cinema, why not talk to them? And the woman said, oh, I feel like I want to go and call my daughter now. And I said, oh yeah, I feel like I want to go and call my mum now. Because you've got that amazing mother-daughter relationship. And obviously both the actors who play the mother and the daughter in Lady Bird are nominated in the Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress category. And so, you know, they've done a really good job of this. But again, you've got that teen angst coming across, and it just comes across so well. And there are some moments, again, where you have these kind of cringeworthy things that can only happen in your teenage years. But then you've got these other moments that are just like really funny and really true to life, and it is another film that I could definitely watch over and over and over. And it was my favourite until I saw 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Now, when this film first came out, I didn't think, oh, I must go and see that in the cinema, because I hadn't seen a trailer for it. And I just had no clue really about what it was about. When I saw the film poster for it, I thought, oh, is this a documentary? And I love a documentary, but I was like, I don't know really what this is about. And then obviously it got all this attention at the Golden Globes, and so you had cinemas putting on loads of extra showings of it and things like that. And I was still a bit like, do I want to see this? I don't know. And obviously Sam Rockwell's been doing amazingly with his awards and things, and Frances McDormand's doing amazingly with her awards, and both of them are nominated again in the Oscars. I was just like, right, okay, going to go and see this. And then obviously I knew it was coming up on this pass, so I waited to go and see it in this pass, and oh, it was so good. Again, it's quite different from Lady Bird, so it's really hard to compare the 2 films. But again, like the stuff that I loved about The Post with Meryl Streep's strong female character, I love Frances McDormand's strong female character, and that's kind of part of what carried the film for me. I didn't at any point feel kind of distracted watching this. You know, sometimes you kind of think, oh, my phone's just buzzed, maybe I should go and check it, maybe I should go and get more popcorn or something. The whole time I was sat, again, I went to see this one on my own, and I was just sat and I was engrossed in the screen watching the story take place. This is much more fast-paced than some of the other films that I've talked about. There's, you know, stuff going on constantly. It's a very, very, very sweary film, so if you don't like a lot of bad language in your film, then you wouldn't necessarily like this one. But it's well placed bad language. It's not misplaced bad language. And again, this one probably had the most audience reaction from the cinema. It was a very busy cinema again. But yeah, it definitely had the most audience reaction. You had parts where, you know, something kind of shocking or unexpected would happen, and there was an audible gasp within the cinema. There was something else that happened between the mother and her children in one particular scene, and the whole cinema just went, ooh, including me. But it was so audible and so loud, and I think the fact that there was this audience reaction happening at the same time as me being so engrossed in watching it kind of made it kind of more pleasurable. It was just really, really good. And I said to Ollie we should watch it again. Obviously it's out on Blu-ray now, you know, maybe we'll get the Blu-ray and watch it at home, maybe we'll go and see it again in the cinema because it's still playing, there's still lots of shows playing. But yeah, having watched all 9 films and gone into it with like Lady Bird being my favourite and either Get Out or The Post being kind of my second favourite, now I would say that like Lady Bird and Three Billboards are my 2 favourites, my 2 favourites at the top. And they're just completely different things, and so it's so hard to compare them. You know, they're just in their own little genres and they deal with such different things, but so both of them equally important. And there's obviously crossover stars across so many of these films. There's people in The Post who are in Get Out, and people in Call Me By Your Name who are in Lady Bird, and people who are in Lady Bird who are in Three Billboards. And so, you know, obviously these films are all of a similar caliber. So yeah, I would say my personal favourite is either Lady Bird or Three Billboards. I've seen Lady Bird twice, so it's a bit unfair. I feel like I need to make a proper call once I've seen Three Billboards twice, but it wasn't playing again, so and then yeah, my prediction for what will win Best Picture. I would really like Get Out to win Best Picture, and I think it has a real strong chance. Everybody's saying that the playing field is wide open, but I also think that Three Billboards has a great chance of winning. And so I think I'm gonna make my prediction as Three Billboards will win, and then Get Out will win Best Original Screenplay. I think that's the one that it's nominated for. I would really like if it won Best Original Screenplay and or Best Director. I've completely missed one out. I've got my list in front of me. I've completely missed one out. So that's my predictions. I have missed talking about Shape of Water, which is also right up there for contention. I would say that I like Shape of Water more than Darkest Hour, but less than The Post. I would really like it to win for Best Music, Best Original Score, because the music is so beautiful, and I loved it, and I would go and see that one again. I think that it's a beautiful love story at the heart of everything, and it's very, very different to the rest of the films, but yeah, I would say that's like right in the middle of the 9 for me. But yeah, my prediction would be Three Billboards to win, but I would also love if Get Out won, and my personal favourites are like joint Three Billboards and Lady Birds. So yeah, I know it's been a long video, but you know, you can, you know, I've watched just about your favourite film. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Oscars, and it's about 3 hours till they're actually on. So yeah, we'll see how my predictions come true. And I think that, yeah, I'm not going to make a call on the I did think about making a call on the acting nominations as well, but I'm not going to. Just going to talk about the films. And as I say, I've kind of thrown in a couple of director, music things going on in there as well. But yeah, as I say, those are kind of my personal feelings and my predictions, and we'll see. As I say, let me know in comments if you think I should read the book of Call Me By Your Name, and let me know what you preferred out of all these films, personal choice and Oscar prediction. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll be back with another video for you next week. I will see you then. Bye.